All right, we'll wrap this Tuesday edition of PFT PM by answering some of your questions. Our good friend Tom Marshall, known on Twitter as A Red Zone Alk, do the Patriots' past successes exclude Bill Belichick from consideration for Coach of the Year? He won it at least in 2007 when they went undefeated. I think that may be the only time he's won it, Charean. Correct me if I'm wrong. But does the fact that they've set such a high bar make it harder for him to receive the award that, frankly, if we're looking for the best coach of the year pretty much every year in the NFL, it's going to be him?
Yeah, it is amazing, Mike, that he's only won it one time, because you could have given it to him every year. But I think what happened last year with this team and now where they are, to me, there are only two candidates, and that's Bill Belichick and Cliff Kingsbury right now today as we sit here. And I think it's going to be one of those two coaches, and he's done an outstanding coaching job yet again. This may be his best coaching job that he's ever done.
Now, I think he could be Coach of the Year just because I believe that the award is determined very loosely by the understanding of how much a team exceeds the expectations that were in place for it going into the season. And people didn't expect much from the Patriots going into the season. Yeah. They didn't expect them to be the potential number one seed. So I think if they're the number one seed, you have to give Bill Belichick that consideration, because it's not just what he does as a coach, it's his entire plan that has been validated by what they've done. So I think that he should get consideration for Coach of the Year, and maybe he is the guy who deserves it. If they get the one seed, you can make a very good case for it. Brainless Sloth wants to know this. I like that Twitter handle, by the way. If the 49ers lose to the Bengals, will Trey Lance start the rest of the season, or will they continue to use Jimmy Garoppolo in the hopes of somehow driving up his value in the postseason? Charean, what do you think?
They're going to be in it. I mean, we see how much of a cluster this whole NFC is. They're all tightly bunched there. They're going to stay in it. So you keep playing Jimmy Garoppolo the rest of the way. I don't see Trey Lance. Unless they're out of it the last couple of weeks, then I guess you play Trey Lance. But as it stands right now, Mike, I think Jimmy Garoppolo finishes the season.
And I don't think losing to the Bengals would change the analysis, because they'd still be alive. Because if you finish with 4 straight wins, if you fall to 6-7, which is what would happen if they would lose on Sunday, and you win 4 in a row and finish 10-7, probably a chance you're getting one of the 7 seats in the playoff party. So I don't think this weekend has any relevance whatsoever to it. And they're already making noise about bringing Jimmy G back next year, but based on how he played against the Seahawks, I wouldn't bring him back next week, frankly. All right, Dr. J144. The Texans and the Lions both have minimal talent, but it doesn't feel like the Lions – but doesn't it feel, key distinction there, doesn't it feel like the Lions compete harder and seem better prepared than the Texans? How should we evaluate coaches on teams without enough talent to win? And I think that Dr. J144 is right. We see fight from the Lions every single week. The Texans, at times, it just seems like they're overmatched and they're not really trying. Yes.
Yeah, completely agree. And you see the fight in the Lions. You see how much that win meant to them. They're probably going to end up with the number 1 overall pick. But I didn't have them last this week. I had the Texans last in my AP Power Poll, and I had the Lions next to last. I like what the Lions are doing. I think they found their coach. We think they found their GM. That remains to be seen. They still need a quarterback of the future. But this is a team, Mike, that I think you're going to see in the next couple of years. I think you're going to see them grow a lot. I like what I've seen out of the Lions.
They need more players who will reflect the identity of Dan Campbell and the guy who doesn't get mentioned enough when we talk about the Lions, Chris Spielman. Because I think Dan Campbell is a reflection of Chris Spielman, and they're going to have players who are a reflection of both guys. And it takes time to do it. You got to be committed to do it. You can't get caught up in the complaints and the whims of the fan base. I mean, the fan base is so beaten down. Just to tell them to be patient for 2 or 3 years until you can get the players who will come in and play the way that Dan Campbell wants. Then you're going to have a perennial contender that's going to be very difficult to beat on any given week of the season. And as to the Texans, we were texting about this earlier, Charean. I think it's one and done for David Culley. And one and done is not nearly as rare as you would think it is. Every time there's a coach who's fired after 1 year, we have a post that I'll go find and I'll update it and say, hey, here's all the times in the past 15 years that coaches have been one and done. It happens far more often than you realize.
Well, and I'm not so certain that they didn't hire David Culley with that in mind, Mike, and now they can move on and get the coach, maybe Josh McDaniels, who they really want, considering their New England ties.
That would be something if they pull that off. But it just feels like, and look, David Culley seems like a nice guy. He was never on anyone's radar screen as a coaching candidate. And I remember thinking, who's David Culley, when we heard that he was emerging as a candidate. So I have a feeling that he's not going to be on that job much longer, or the Texans are possibly going to have more of the same next year.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.